Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's football show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. It is Thursday. Thank you very much for joining us. And in the studio alongside myself, we've got Alan Rough and Tam Cowan, ready to talk, of course, about Europa League football. Celtic at home to Rennes tonight in the East End of Glasgow, but over in the Netherlands it's Feyenoord against Rangers. All the talk ahead of that game is, of course, the fallout from Rangers AGM and the headlines from Dave King saying even if 30, 40 or 50 million came in for Morelos, they wouldn't accept it. I think we've gone slightly crazy over some of the estimations of how much Morelos is worth here.
We'll only find out if it happens, but to repeat almost what I said last week in the show, Peter, if I was a Rangers fan, then I'd be hoping that 100 million, if somebody offered such a price, wouldn't take him, because I think if Rangers have got any ambition this season, they've got to keep Morelos, full stop. And it's not, even if they did, let's say they got £100 million, and let's say they were able to spend that £100 million, bizarrely, there's no guarantee that the guy they brought in and £100 million would score the same goals as Morelos. So they've got to keep him. Simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Not too far away from kick-off Feyenoord against Rangers. Let's have a look at the build-up to that one.
Rangers have the opportunity to make it to the knockout stage of European football for the first time since 2011, when they visit Feyenoord at De Kuip this evening. The Gers have continued to surprise many on the continent this campaign and were impressive at Ibrox against the Dutch side in September. However, manager Steven Gerrard knows this will be a very different game.
So yeah, it'll be a different challenge and a more difficult challenge, if you like, than the one we faced at Ibrox. We obviously had the support right behind us on the night, who were fantastic. I'm sure that's going to be the case in their favour tomorrow.
Venue is not the only changing factor, because former Rangers boss Dick Advocaat is now at the helm. The Dutchman won 5 trophies in just 3 seasons in Glasgow and is now unbeaten in Rotterdam, having won 2 and drawn 2. Feyenoord have 4 points and must win tonight to have a realistic chance of progression. Gerrard will field his strongest 11, featuring the likes of Ryan Jack, Stephen Davis and of course Alfredo Morelos. And can the Colombian continue his fantastic season? A winner tonight would increase his stock higher amongst the Rangers fans and possible suitors.
Yeah, Roughie, it's an interesting one, this. Feyenoord, not the Feyenoord of old, certainly not strong in the Dutch Eredivisie at the moment.
No, but I think Rangers will have identified in the first leg. They were very well organised. The Rangers only won 1-0 with the goal, obviously. But no, I think Rangers will want to take something out of this game. It doesn't matter, even if your last game's at home, it would be a really, really nervous night if they were relying to get something out of that. So to take something tonight would relieve some of that worry.
Yeah, well, they're up against an old Rangers manager in Dick Advocaat. He's in charge at Feyenoord, and he's not having any talk whatsoever of Rangers and Scottish football being very much the minnows.
I think they have a very good squad. Not because that we have to play tomorrow against them, but in Holland they underestimate a little bit still Scottish football. But Celtic and Rangers are both really European top clubs.
Well, I don't know about you, but when he was manager of Rangers, I absolutely loved interviewing him. Good patter, liked a joke, and every now and then he'd have that little glint in his eyes as if to say, I know where you're going with the question. I'm not going to answer it.
Well, I think I'll never forget, Peter, I was introduced to him after a Motherwell Rangers game at Fir Park, and in my then Daily Record column that week, I'd been marvelling at his magnificent new head of hair, because if you recall, and forget, we're now near James McFadden, Chris Boyd, and they're absolutely immaculate. Dick was a wee bit old school, and he actually, because I'm guessing he got it as a freebie, he'd done the old thing with one of these names like Stefan Skolas or something. I mean, they guys used to always do it. We'd get the 6 pictures of Dick's head, the bald head, then gradually a wee bit here, a wee bit here, a wee bit here. And I'd been writing about this because in the photos that Dick could get taken, in the clinic or whatever, he was clearly killing himself laughing at how stupid this whole thing was. And in the footage you could actually see that he was laughing. So I had been writing about this, and I went into one of the lounges after this Motherwell Rangers game, can't even remember what the score was, and somebody introduced me to him, and he'd seen the column in the Record, and he was having a laugh about it as well, and he showed me he was proud. He bent down because of the work he was clearly proud of, and he just put his head down to show me, what about that then, you know? And I think it was the next week I accused Hazel Irvine of having fake boobs. But she didn't fall into my trap. No, I always thought he was a great character, but I'll tell you what, any Rangers fans who think, oh, it's Dick tonight, Dick loves the Rangers, he'll do as a wee turner in that night, just remind them Zen at St Petersburg when he was the manager and beat them for a European trophy. So Dick, he's nothing if not a professional, but I agree with Roughie. I think Rangers would absolutely bite your hand off for a draw, but you know this better than anybody, and it's a bit of an old cliche. You can never set a team out to play for a draw, can you? It's dangerous.
Not at all. You know, I think they haven't scored many goals in this campaign. They don't lose a lot either. You know, they're relying, obviously, Morelos coming up with something. So I think if they were to get a goal out of this one, they might just get that draw. Yeah,
well, you look at the group, Roughie, and you can see where Rangers are placed in this one. And to be perfectly honest with you, a draw is definitely what they want to take from this one, because it becomes just a little bit nervy if Feyenoord were to get the win. Suddenly then they're all level, depending on what happens between Young Boys and Porto. That could actually be with everybody with 7 points, and then it becomes a real cutthroat situation.
Yeah, that's why you don't want it to go into the last game. That's why it's so important to take something out of this. Although Rangers would have a massive crowd at home and they would say, oh well, take anybody at home, it's still going to be a nervy night.
But you know what, knowing that even if they get beaten tonight, they still could go through against Young Boys, psychologically they should have that absolutely drummed into them and think, you know, just get out there, a point tonight could be oh so precious. It would absolutely put us in the driving seat, because they know as well, and I think that will help them. I think it will help them, the fact that Celtic are already through. Celtic have effectively got the dead rubber tonight. Yeah. So I think that'll give Rangers the wee extra push as well.
Yeah, well, it would be great if we could get 2 Scottish clubs into the next phase of the Europa League. Certainly would be something to brag about when you consider the performances of most of the clubs in Scotland over the last decade. But as far as Rangers and Feyenoord, that's the early kick-off at 5 to 6. A little later on, Celtic Park will be, no doubt, full to the gunnels, ready for the match against Rennes. Celtic, as Tam alluded to there, are already through in this one. All the hullabaloo has been about this section that's been closed off. Peter Lawwell didn't actually mince his words. Back pages of the papers that they're not going to tolerate it anymore. The Green Brigade are going to have to clean up their act, or they won't be in for the cup final either, Roughie.
Yeah, I think he knew exactly what was coming for UEFA. You know, they were marginally away from being told some of your stadiums going to be shut. So he's acted very positively. He's let UEFA know, look, we're on top of this, we're dealing with it. And that's what I think UEFA like to hear. They like to hear that the clubs are actually doing something. And this is a statement to them to say, like, we're not accepting it at all.
19th fine, Tam, is not good, but I think, you know, we mentioned it yesterday on the show that I looked at it and I thought to myself, well, you know, £500,000 to some clubs is a huge bit of the budget, but I think Neil Lennon was right to point out, it could be the difference between signing a young player with potential and not.
Absolutely, and I think that was a very, very clever line from Neil Lennon in terms of getting every other single Celtic fan on his side with that, saying, look, that could have been a player for us. All these fines we've been chucking out. And it means that even guys around the ground, and me even as a neutral, I would say, I'd look a lot of the times at the good that the Green Brigade do in terms of what they bring to the party, the noise and all the rest of it, the colour, you know. And there'll be a lot of Celtic fans right around the stadium will appreciate them for that, the same way that me at Motherwell appreciate what the Well Boys do. The Well Boys at Motherwell and the side of the East Stand are the atmosphere. It's them, simple as that. I realise that. But even for the guys that are kind of wavering a wee bit, I think, wow, what a line for Neil Lennon to say that, you know what, we could have had another player if it wasn't for these fines. And that really drills home what a nonsense this can be. So good on Neil Lennon.
Yeah, and of course he was dealing with other speculation, this time about Victor Wanyama.
I don't know where the speculation is coming from, and that's basically what it is at the minute, speculation. So if a player like Wanyama was to become available, that's the first thing we have to ask, because there's a new manager at Spurs and We don't know how Jose Mourinho would see Victor's role in the club.
It's a strange one, Roughie. It's gathered a bit of pace. 2 and 2 makes 5, I think, in this situation, because the greater need for Celtic when they get into January will be a striker.
Yeah, it's a position that Celtic don't really need. You know, he is a wonderful player. I think everybody knows what he did for Celtic the first time round. But in the present day, where do you fit him into that team? There's a lot of young boys in there really playing at the top of their game. So I just can't imagine who it would be that would drop out for him.
Yeah, and as far as the team selection for tonight, it would be nice to see Greg Taylor get a run out. He played well for Scotland, Tam. He's had to sit, kick his heels and watch his ball and goalie started ahead of him.
Well, Celtic find themselves in that lovely situation. I know you could argue it's good to keep the first team guys ticking over ahead of big games and that, but Celtic can effectively ahead of the cup final against Rangers. You know, they have got the opportunity to wrap some guys in cotton wool in terms of the big games. You might find that they might do that anyway at the weekend. Who's Celtic got on Sunday?
That's a good one, Tam.
That's
completely and
question.
utterly.
Right.
I've been so focused on it, I'll tell you in 2 seconds flat.
There we go.
Ross County. Up at Ross County
right,
as well.
There you go. That's a sort of club, with no disrespect whatsoever to Ross County, that backs up what I'm about to say. But they do find themselves at maybe not having as big a game on Sunday compared to European tie. Then, of course, the cup final, which is going to be mega. I'd be sorely tempted if I was Neil Lennon to look at 4, 5, 6 of my main guys and say, you know what, here's a chance to give some younger boys a wee bit of Euro experience. I'm just going to take it easy with you boys tonight.
And I wonder what the motivation will be for Rennes. They're languishing mid-table in the French League One, and I don't think they've got any chance of qualification in the group. Celtic are already qualified.
No, you're right, you know, but they'll still be competitive enough to come and try and take something out of that game. But I think Celtic still have got something to go for. They want to win the group. They want to not come up against a seeded team. The drop-off for the Champions League are going to come into the competition, so they'll stay away from them if they win the league. So that's their incentive tonight. And
I think the back it'd be a nice touch. I mean, the fans, you know, as a dead rubber, them, you could argue they don't have a lot to look forward to tonight. And the back of the AGM, I think it'd be a nice touch for the supporters if the club put a Mars bar in every supporter's seat tonight.
Yeah, of course, because obviously Ian Bankier has been defending the increase in the wages of the Chief Executive, Peter Lawwell. But to be fair, Roughie, when you've got 40 million in the bank, you've not even counted the Kieran Tierney money. You're looking at a club that's top of the league, in the next stage of the Europa League, trying to get a quadruple treble. I don't think too many people will be disgruntled about the way Peter Lawwell's going about his job.
No, that's the way of the world now. You know, chief executives are on very, very high salaries with the same incentives that the very wealthy players are getting as well. So if you're doing your bit, then you deserve what you're due.
And Neil Lennon said, if you want the best, you need to pay for the best. And I just wish Peter that everybody took that approach.
Absolutely. And my immediate...
I agree with you.
And my immediate thought is, I wonder what Cosgrove's doing at the moment. Anyway, other than that, Tam likes a good movie. He loves actors who excel at their job. There's none better than Barry Ferguson in the competition.
Hi, I'm Barry Ferguson. Don't forget to like, share and follow our social media channels at PLZ Soccer. To win this shirt, all you have to do is guess my favourite Rangers goal.
Good luck with the competition. I never get tired of watching that, to be perfectly honest with you.
Makes you yearn for El Dorado. You remember that?
Oh, there was a programme on BBC One.
Actually, it just makes you yearn for El Dorado.
You'll get that back to him, by the way. Okay, from Europa League football, of course, domestically, there's always a good tale. We're still waiting on a Hearts manager. You know, it could materialise sooner or later, but I think she's starting to feel the heat on this one. Daniel Stendel seems to be the out-and-out front runner.
And apart from anything else, the Edinburgh rivalry being as it is, it's probably putting extra pressure on Anne Budge now that Jack Ross has basically got off to a flyer. and the Hearts fans are saying, where's our manager? And I'm kind of slightly chirpy about this, Peter, because correct me if I'm wrong, it would seem increasingly unlikely that it's going to be Stevie Robinson. And as I said to you weeks ago, if it ends up, and I believe he is still Bookie's favourite, that Stevie gets the Northern Ireland job, then great. Because, you know, I'm a supporter of a club, and there's nothing worse when one of your key talent at your club, one of the key talented people goes to a rival club. So I would be thrilled if Stevie ended up going to Northern Ireland.
Yeah, and just on the point there of the Hearts' desire to get a manager quickly, the pressure is intensified. It has been intensified, Roughie, with regards to Hibs results. Although it was interesting to hear Jack Ross saying that he thinks Stevie Mallon is too good for the bench. But I wonder, sometimes if you get players that are creative, you struggle to fit them in the midfield. And I think Hibs will be out scouring the market in January for a kind of a holding midfielder to allow the likes of a Stevie Mallon or a Scott Allen to actually go forward. I don't think there's too much room in the middle of the park for the two of them to be dovetailed at the moment.
No, that would have been the complaint any time Hibs get beat, that they're too nice in midfield, and you can see why, because there's two fantastic players in there. You need a bit of steel sometimes when the game's not going your way and your back's to the wall. And that's the case. So I think you're 100% right. But it'd be nice to see the two from a spectator's point of view. You would always like to see two players like that on the park.
And I'll tell you, Peter used the phrase there, too good for the bench. I'll chuck another phrase at you, too good to go down. I spent some time in Saturday there when I was our guest on the radio with Big Martin Canning, who at Hamilton was part of that sensational story when Hibs eventually get relegated with the last kick of the ball and a penalty shootout by Hamilton. And in all the way that Hibs initially got into the bottom six that year, and I was saying, they're too good to go down. Then they went down a place, they're too good to go down. Eventually, Wallop, Hamilton relegated them. And, you know, the too good to go down phrase, I'm sure there might even be some Hearts fans reminding themselves of that just now, in terms of we better get a manager in, because you're looking now, there are 4 teams on 11 points, correct me if I'm wrong, at the bottom of the Premiership.
Yes, you're right.
And Hearts have got no reason, as far as I can see, to be gallus and think, queer Hearts, we'll get out of the mire. There's nothing to suggest that for what you've seen this season, and that's why this appointment is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we wait and wonder who eventually is going to get the nod to try and revitalise this Hearts squad, because it is a good squad. There's some really good players in it. Interestingly enough, we always like to hear from clubs and strikers confidently scoring goals and predicting targets. Sam Cosgrove reckons he should be looking at 30 goals for Aberdeen. It's been a long while, so I'm really racking my brains trying to think of the last Aberdeen player to score 30 goals.
You might have to go as far back as Joe Harper.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, Roughie. It could have been. I mean, Mark McGee wasn't prolific. He was excellent. Wasn't prolific.
I think as Aberdeen were great teams, and you're trying to pluck a name for that, but they were so good. They spread the goals a bit. It wasn't if they ever relied on one player, but I bet there would be plenty of guys like Eric Black, McGee, as you mentioned, who would have popped up with 22, 23 goals. But 30, I think you're right. I think you'd have to take it back to Joe Harper.
That season that... is it McGinn come back?
Niall McGinn.
Niall McGinn had a good season.
Yep.
I don't think he reached anywhere near 30. No, you're right. But who's to say he won't?
And the worry again with, you know, it happens to a lot of fans at a lot of clubs. The Aberdeen fans, you get slight mixed feelings. There's a wee bit of me, if I was an Aberdeen fan, would be saying to Sam Cosgrove, just calm it down a wee bit. Because if you get anywhere near 30 goals with Aberdeen, he's off. And you look at that gulf between the Old Firm and the rest now, exactly.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, if Aberdeen have got any real desire to sell him, they should start doing what everybody else seems to be doing and just start putting in the paper he's worth 30 million, 40 million. We're not taking 50 million for him, because Rangers, Celtic and every other club want to try and get as much money as they possibly can. Just a quick look at last night's Champions League results, because I watched, Roughie, a game that just reminded me of schools football, which was, of course, Chelsea playing in Spain against Valencia. It was fantastic. It was like, no, you attack, I'll leave 2 at the back. No, you attack and I'll leave the whole place wide open for you.
Yeah, that was the case, you know, but from supporter point of view, that's what you want to see. You don't want to see teams sitting back and spoiling the game. So no, good viewing and good goals as well.
Yeah, not good for the nerves if you're a fan trying to get the winner in that game, but it was, honestly, it could have been 4-5-5, it could have been 6-6. Fir Park, still one of the best games I've ever seen with high scoring, Tam.
Absolutely. I must be honest though, I didn't watch any of it last night because Wednesday means a double bill, Coronation Street, and quite frankly you have to get your priorities right. If you want real drama, you need to go to Weatherfield.
Yeah, okay, and on that point, I'm glad that we are leaving the programme now and not taking Tam's advice, because stick with us Monday to Friday on YouTube. You can subscribe to the channel, and of course you can contribute across all our social media outlets, Twitter, Facebook Live, and of course on our subscription to YouTube. In fact, you don't need to subscribe, you can still get the show and share it with all your friends. Thank you to every one of you for joining our ever-growing football family. And don't forget, right after the show, you can get a great deal on new and used cars with Arnold Clark. Stay tuned for that. So all that remains to be said is thanks to Roughie, thanks to Tam, who's heading to Weatherfield. We'll be heading to the Europa League, I can tell you, and we'll catch you tomorrow night. Thanks for watching.
Hello and welcome to the latest from Arnold Clark, where we bring you the best deals from across the country from Europe's largest independent car retailer. Here are just 3 of the unmissable deals that we've picked out for you this week. First up is this 69-plate Vauxhall Corsa. One of the UK's most popular super minis has had a facelift, and this 1.4-litre 3-door Griffin model takes things a step further with its stylish sports interior, heated front sports seats, finely tuned sports suspension and 16-inch black twin-spoke alloy wheels. It also comes with the Navi 4.0 IntelliLink 7-inch touchscreen, and you can get all that for $10,998 or just £169 a month. But be quick, there's only a limited stock available. If you're looking for incredible value for money in the SUV crossover market, then it's hard to look past the hugely popular Dacia Duster. This 19-plate 1.3-litre prestige model could be yours for $16,498 or £249 per month. For that, you get a whole host of features new to the Duster, including climate control, curtain airbags, blind spot warning, keyless entry, 17-inch diamond-cut alloy wheels, and a 7-inch touchscreen multimedia system with satellite navigation, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto. Add in remarkably cheap running costs, and the overall Dacia package is hard to beat. Finally, here's your chance to own one of the most thrill-seeking rides around, and for an unbeatable price. This 5-door 19-plate BMW 1 Series 118i M Sport gives you all the handling expertise you'd expect from a BMW, coupled with style and refinement, and all for $17,998 or £269 per month. And this Shadow Edition also comes with black Dakota leather seats, LED headlights with automatic beam control, 18-inch double-spoke alloy wheels, and the outstanding Harman Kardon sound system. For more details on any of the fantastic deals available from Arnold Clark, simply head over to arnoldclark.com/deals or get in touch with your nearest Arnold Clark branch. I'll be back next time with more mouth-watering deals, but until then, thanks for watching and happy motoring.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.